Hi and welcome to Cardio Training 2 video. So in the first cardio video we looked at how hard we should be working, what components we're using, what we're actually training for, how long and in what zone. So now I'm just going to spend a minute in each of those zones, taking you up through right up to about 80-90% and just having a look at what actually happens to the bodies as you travel up through the zones. So I've already been on the bike a little bit, I've done a warm up. And your warm-up should consist of taking you from a low heart rate up into around 60% in the training zone over about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to bring my heart rate up a little bit. So my 60% heart rate is around 125. So I'm just going to work to get it up there. Okay, if you're finding your heart rate's not coming up, what you need to do is either increase your speed or increase the resistance. So initially I'm just going to increase my speed, so that's my cadence. So I'm just going to bring it up. Okay, heart rate's 110 at the moment. So the more training you do, the slower your heart rate will come up. If it's not used to training, obviously it's a shock to the body, heart rate will shoot up. Okay, just going to add a little bit more resistance. Okay, so I'm at 123. So yeah, that represents about 60% of my heart rate. Okay, so this is a good zone to be working in if you're just starting training. It's comfortable. You shouldn't be sweating too much. You shouldn't be out of breath. You should be able to hold a conversation. This is what is known as aerobic training. So at the moment my body's bringing in the oxygen, taking it to the heart, the lungs, taking it to the muscles, and it can maintain an equilibrium if you like. As the workload gets greater, it's harder for your body to cope with the amount of oxygen, so then it becomes more anaerobic, and you'll see that later on. Okay, for the sake of this video I'm going to work up through these zones quite quickly. So I'm about 65 at the moment, so I'm just going to increase the resistance a bit more, increase the speed a little bit more. So I'm trying to get myself up to about 70% now. Even at 70% it's still fairly aerobic. Okay, there, so my heart rate's 135, so I can still have a conversation. And the main fuel I'm using in these lower zones is predominantly fat. Okay, you never just use fat in the zone, you always use a little bit of carbohydrate. But as you work harder, you tend to rely on carbohydrate stores a little bit more. Your body can only store so much carbohydrate, so it's good to preserve your carbohydrate stores in a race. Okay. So I'm approaching about 75% maximum, heart rate's 141. Okay, so now I'm going to have to work pretty hard to get tired. I'm going to increase the resistance a little bit more and just increase the leg speed. Good. I'm coming up to 144 now. So as your fitness improves, it's actually harder to improve your fitness. You've got to work harder, you've got to create an overload, which means working harder, normally for short periods of time, doing interval type training. Okay, so now my heart rate's 150. It's probably about 80. 80%. So when I get to this level, starting to come out of my aerobic zone a little bit. Because the body can't supply so much oxygen to the muscles it needs, it starts using lactic acid, creating lactic acid. That's why it's difficult to work at these intensities for too long. Lactic acid is actually a poison to your body. Yeah. Get rid of it through your breathing. That's why a lot of heavy breathing isn't just getting more oxygen in, it's getting all the waste products out. As you can tell my voice, it's getting more difficult to speak now. Heart rate's at 160. Let's put about 85% maximum. So I'm going to keep pushing. It's pretty uncomfortable now. We do interval type training. This is where we're trying to get your heart rate up into these zones. Out of your aerobic zone, into your anaerobic zone. I'm really going to try and get my heart rate right to the top. My legs will allow. Okay, so that's what I'm going to go for. Heart rate up to 170 there. So it's not my maximum. Put about 15, 20 beats off my maximum. Let's definitely come out in the aerobic zone. So obviously this sort of training isn't comfortable. If you're just looking for general fitness, you don't need to go that high. If you're looking more sport specific, then yes. Or if you've been training for a long time, your body's used to exercise, then it's okay. It's very beneficial actually, in terms of aerobic fitness and also weight loss. Okay, when you work with a high heart rate, you never just want to stop. All the blood's in my legs at the moment. If I just stop, the blood will stay there. Just by cooling down properly, just increasing the circulation again, letting your body get rid of all the waste products. Just so you cool down, exactly opposite to your warm up.